Kazangpala and a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Cheku. Our top stories this week: His Majesty the King graced the consecration of Chadol Haka at Ashigang. His Majesty the King also graces Purjang of late Lam Kunzawandi in Barsam. Athletes return from Special Olympics with 2 gold medals and another silver and bronze medal each. His Majesty the King graced the consecration of the newly constructed Chadol Haka in Barsam in Tashigang. His Majesty was accompanied by His Royal Highness the Gyaltsab and the Prime Minister.
Early this morning, His Majesty the King graced the consecration ceremony of the Chadol Haga, built at one of the most sacred sites in eastern Bhutan. The construction of the new Chadol Haga was started in 2006, initiated by the Barsam Trasa with support from the government and the community. The 5-story structure was built to accommodate the increasing number of visitors and religious ceremonies held here. The monastery dates back to the 12th century and is among the most sacred sites in eastern Bhutan. Thousands of devotees from across the country visit the place every year to venerate the relic of Chana Doji, which gives the monastery its name. The temples and relics of the Lhaga are associated with Guru Rinpoche and Pema Lingpa. The new Lhaga includes temples and a library for religious texts. Construction of the structure was overseen by the late Lam Kinzawandi. For Sringzam in Kanglung, Yisha Gelson, BBS News.
His Majesty the King also graced the Purjang of late Lam Kunzawandi in Barsam on Thursday. Lam Kunza passed away in October last year at the age of 76.
The Purjang of Lam Kunzawandi was held this morning in Barsam. He passed away peacefully at his residence in Thimphu last year. Lam Kunza served as Sungkhop to His Majesty the 4th Druk Gyalpo and their Majesties the Queen Mothers. He carried out a number of royal commands to oversee the construction of religious sites and the commissioning and installation of relics, statues and paintings. He was also a representative of Gomchins in the Chede of the Ministry of Home and Cultural Affairs and a member of the Council of Ngajur Ngingma, besides being the head of the Barsam Chador Lakha. For Sringzam in Tashigang, Sunampem for BBS News.
A recent study by the National Center for Hydrology and Meteorology has found that 17 glacial lakes in the country are under threat of bursting. The center in total verified 19 potential dangerous glacial lakes. GLOV stands for Glacial Lake Outburst Flood, also commonly known as silent or mountain tsunami. It is one of the major disasters resulting from bursting of potentially dangerous glacial lakes.
According to a report published by EC-Mode in 2001, 25 potentially dangerous glacial lakes were recorded in the country. Among these lakes, the NCHM ground verified and assessed 19 glacial lakes for GLOV hazards.
The
difference between their report and ours is theirs was based on glacier maps, like they looked at the size and not volume. Now what our center did was we physically went to the lakes where they didn't go and ground verified it scientifically.
Among these 19 glacial lakes, it was found that 17 can result in glacial lake outburst flood. This signifies that these lakes can possibly be hazardous to lives and infrastructures downstream of vulnerable river basins. 6 lakes could not be verified due to inaccessibility. However, in the absence of ground-based data and information for these 6 lakes, the lakes are still categorized as potentially dangerous glacial lakes.
Due to climate change, there are many hazards. The main concern out of all this is increase in heat temperature. When that happens, the risk of glacier lake outburst also increases. And when the glacier melts, the failure glacier dam is at high chances, which we know as glacier lake outburst flood.
슈디 아니 키소 고도미기 잔디게 마탭 조베 잔디 배원이기 아니기 냐카데 나체 또또 봄쇼베트도라 키소기 콜레보진 다 인케나 보진 글래시얼 레이크 아웃버스트 플러드스 아니면 뭐나.
According to the center, the study will help in enhancing disaster management in the community, prompt decision-making for the policymakers, and plan for major infrastructure development activities, among others. The country today has a total of 700 glaciers. Samtan Dolkar, PBS News.
In an effort to promote healthy lifestyle and improve local economy through tourism, the Bumta Dzongkhag administration launched an initiative called Beautiful Bumta. The project is a collective effort of the administration, all regional offices in the district and the locals.
With the launch of the initiative, plantation of various flowers and trees from Kurje to Jalikar were carried out. Almost all the plants and flowers are those that are natively grown in Bumthang. Several landscaping and land reclamation works were done to make numerous parks and gardens.
When we discussed about the initiative with the regional offices, business community and the local people, everyone was forthcoming and supportive of the idea. So we are especially focusing on attracting more Bhutanese and tourists to visit Bumthang through such initiatives which will help enhance the local economy. Our vision is to revamp and transform Bumthang into an exceptionally beautiful place.
Currently 10 zones have been identified to be taken care by public offices, hoteliers and locals. No separate budget has been allocated for the completed beautification works. It all happened with sheer volunteerism and collaboration.
With His Majesty the King's command, we have already built a chute on the way to Kuje and Jambilhagas. We now want to keep the place filled with greenery and flowers. We want to keep it clean with beautiful trees and plants growing around it.
The initiative is a long-term project and there are various other plans which will be carried out in the future. By next year, there will be riverfront developing works along Chamkarchu for cycling and other recreational activities. An information center will also be set up. There are plans to construct a traditional bridge near Chamkar village. Cycling tracks and jogging trail will be developed along the construction of footpath and other sports facilities at Kurkurbithang. 4 villages, one from each gyok, have been identified as a garden village for beautification. For now, the initiative looks promising and it is a vision that will add beauty to this already beautiful place. For Kipchun Bumthang, this is Tandin Finso for BBS News.
To strengthen Bhutan's capacity to deal with the worldwide problem of antibiotic-resistant diseases, the British government launched its Fleming Fund agreement with Bhutan on Tuesday. The fund is an initiative of the British government to help address the growing and serious global problem of drug-resistant diseases. The first Fleming Fund country grant worth £2.8 million will start from next month.
The project will significantly strengthen Bhutan's laboratory and human resource facilities to allow the identification and reporting of drug-resistant diseases. The grant will be given to the Ministries of Health and Agriculture and Forests. The Ministry of Agriculture is involved because antibiotics are often used to treat cattle, which can result in antibiotics accidentally entering the food chain. At the human level, overuse and misuse of antibiotics is a major health challenge. And in Bhutan, multi-drug-resistant tuberculosis is becoming more prevalent.
The Fleming Fund represents a step change in financial commitments from the UK and in terms of partnerships to support AMR surveillance. And I hope that this is only the beginning. Our ability to get really good quality data into the hands of decision makers is the only way that we can collectively tackle the threat.
Besides strengthening and developing laboratory facilities, the project will also include training element. 7 Bhutanese will be trained under the Fleming Fellowship Scheme to equip them with the capability and networks to address antimicrobial resistance. The fund will allow Bhutan to make a contribution to finding solutions to the rapidly growing world problem. Sunampem for BBS News.
Bhutan sits on an earthquake-prone zone. It is clear that future earthquakes are evident in Bhutan. It is not about if, but when. Earthquakes do not kill, and the weak buildings do kill. So what can Bhutan do to make the buildings safer? Well, the answer lies in installing a shaking table facility in the country. First of its kind in the country, the facility will help understand the characteristics and performance of buildings in the country. The Department of Culture introduced the facility recently.
Shaking table, as the name suggests, is an experimental technique used to test the response of structures to earthquake. The table, which can hold 10 tons of weight, moves, simulating a real earthquake. During a real test, a structure will be placed on this table. It is connected to a computer that has a database of the recorded motions from past earthquakes. It will help understand the properties and behavior of various structures.
With the shaking table, we're going to perform dynamic analysis. So we're going to give the structure real earthquake scenario, and then try to see what are the inherent weak points and what are generated weak points. And based on that, we're going to retrofit the whole structure, and then we're going to come up with some guidelines. So what is more important is that we could really understand the structure's behavior.
The facility was built at a cost of $0.7 million. The installation of a shaking table is part of a 5-year project of the Department of Culture, funded by Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA. The facility will help build more earthquake-resilient structures and strengthen traditional buildings in the country. Sunampem for BBS News.
More than 1,000 suspicious transactions from some accounts of the Bank of Bhutan were reported recently. According to the officials, the transactions happened in Brazil. Although the bank did not disclose how much money has gone missing, it immediately credited the fraudulently withdrawn money into the affected accounts.
The BOB started receiving complaints of suspicious transactions from the clients at 8 a.m. The bank instantly blocked all its debit cards, including the local ATM cards.
We all blocked to try and see where the problem was. So immediately then we tried to investigate and find out, and we found that all the transactions happened in Brazil using our international debit cards, and the transactions were on POS terminals and ATM machines. So about 1,000 successful transactions were reported.
Bank has already restored its affected credit card services. It is investigating where the apparent breach occurred and will take necessary steps to fix it.
I'd like to assure you that the systems of the bank are fully protected. We are the only bank, I think, who has done a system audit twice, and then to ensure that all our customer data, everything is protected as far as the bank system goes.
Meanwhile, the BOB also talked to Visa, its partnering financial company, to see how much of the fraudulent transactions made can be recovered. This is Sringdandu for BBS News.
The Bhutanese team taking part at the Special Olympics in Abu Dhabi returned home on Wednesday. The team of 4 athletes arrived back home with 2 gold medals, another silver and 1 bronze medal. More than 7,000 participants from 190 countries competed in various sporting events at this year's Special Olympics World Games.
36-year-old Peldon won a bronze medal in men's shot put category. He was also reinstated a gold medal in the 200-meter run, which was earlier considered disqualified. Dicky Ladin won a gold medal in the 100-meter race. And Chencho Dorji bagged a silver medal in the long jump event. Chencho also participated in the 100-meter race. Hishi Dema, another Bhutanese athlete, participated in the 100 meters and long jump. The 4 of them also took part in the relay race. All 4 athletes are from Trakso Vocational Training Center for Special Children and Youth. The Special Olympic is the world's largest sporting event which focuses on empowering people with intellectual and physical disabilities through the power of sports. Around 24 different sporting events were held at this year's Special Olympic World Game held in Abu Dhabi. The event kicked off from 14th March and ended on Thursday. This is the 3rd time Bhutan is participating in the event. For Sangi Chenzom in Paro, Komal Kharka for BBS News.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of the News Magazine program from BBS. Thank you for watching us. Until next time, goodbye.